Hey yo, shut your mouth.
Game time. The gridiron.
Shut your mouth podcasting.
Yards, touchdowns.
Shut your mouth podcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats.
Welcome to the Sim Podcast. I'm your co-host Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host Ron. What a Ron.
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. Ron, this is episode number 156. How are you feeling? How's the preseason basically coming along?
Up and down, but listen, I'm ready to get the preseason over with, to be honest with you. Get the season going. I know we still got 2.5 weeks or so to get started, but I think I've seen enough of the preseason.
You've seen enough?
Yeah, seen enough.
You want the preseason to be shorter?
Yes. If we can, let's make it shorter.
You know, technically, the preseason is only 3 games, but I feel like in September, the first 2 games is still part of the preseason.
It takes a while to get going, but I mean, these guys have been, since May, for God's sakes, and OTAs and all that other stuff. So it's time.
It's time.
Let's wrap it up.
And we will talk about the preseason shortly. We'll have some news, NFL news. We'll have our awards prediction for the upcoming season. And then we'll have also our overs and unders for each team, both conferences. But first, let's start with the news, and let's start with Ron, just injuries left and right. Chase, Genty. I know this is part of the course, but why even if they already training back in May, why even test the waters in August?
Well, these injuries have happened in practice, not even the preseason game. So I don't know what's going on in practice.
Because they practice on grass, so it's not like turf in the game. So what gives?
It just happens, man. You got to get with your strength and conditioning coach. I think you got to look at the coaches too and how much stress they're putting on players. Today, Calvin Austin got hurt. He's out, appears to be for the season, which sucks because I'm a huge Calvin Austin fan for the Giants. But yeah, man, injuries are part of the game. That's why, if just to get through the preseason healthy is a win for any team.
Yeah, that's right. The other set of news, CTE, I guess it's a test. There's not a guess. I guess it is a test because the NFL Players Union were like, hey, NFL needs to wake up. So these people from 2016 to 2021, cause of death was unknown, but I guess they gave up their brains for research and they found out that they all had CTE damage. So
yeah, they had some statistics today, and I'm trying to pull it up. I can't find it, but they were alarming statistics. 25% of the players in the NFL who've played have CTE, and it's some alarming statistics that came out today that make you wonder how long this game is going to last. To be honest with you,
well, I told you. It's just a matter of fact. It's a matter of years before it turns to flag football. Because people are gonna look at this and be like, "What is going on here? What is it worth it? Is it worth it?" I know owners are gonna be like, "No, it's definitely worth it." But is it worth it? We already seen flag football in the Olympics, so this is the next progression, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what I'm saying is enjoy while it lasts, right?
Because we're going to be playing flag pretty soon.
Yeah, it's going to turn into flag football eventually. The other set of news, the uniforms for the rivalry came out today, Tuesday. How do you feel? Is this a marketing scheme? I know the NFL, first of all, the NFL is very different from, let's say, international football. They have a third jersey almost every year. This is just the rivalry jersey. So how do you feel about it?
I hate it, to be honest with you. It is a marketing scheme. a way for NFL to make more money, for fans to go out and spend more money. And yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
You know what? I'm a fan only because I think that these uniforms are going to change from year to year. If they're going to be successful because people are going to go out and buy them. So, you know, every team will eventually have one of these uniforms if they don't already do have them. But some of them are just hit or miss. Like the Arizona one, the all red, that's a big time miss for me. Anyways, and they do the same thing for like the Vikings, where it was like all one color, like like I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of that. But if it works, and I can see it not every year, but I can see them like doing this every 24 to 48 months. The other set of news: colleges or some conferences are not going to allow NFL players to go back to college. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, "This is
should be automatic.
It should be like brain surgery. Like, yes, this should not happen. Yet it keeps happening. Why?
Well,
are there any rules in NCAA football?
That's the problem. Like, so you got two players now who played. Some guys played in the preseason games and stuff like that. Signed contracts. Who basically were in the bubble, roster bubble. Probably weren't going to make the team. Deciding to go back to college, and you have a couple players. I know the former Boston College quarterback played for Florida State last year. He had tryouts, I think, with the Dolphins, and it looked like he wasn't going to make the team. So he's going back, you know, to college to play for Texas Tech, and it truly is the wild, wild west. I think. Listen, at the NCAA, they were crooked. They had some things that needed to be fixed, but now it's like college football is completely broken. And you're going to have guys that are playing, you know, at like 25, 26 years old, playing against, you know, 17, 18-year-old kids. And I just think the entire system is broken, and I don't know how you can, at this point, fix it.
I'm not a big college football fan or, you know, supporter, but I knew as soon as NIL happened, I knew it was no holds barred. It was just like whoever campus has the most money, whoever athletic director has the boosters. The boosters is just like perfect example is Carson Beck. How old is he?
I think he's like 25, about to be 26. I don't know. But I mean, there's been guys, Tyler Shuck, he's old. I think he's like 25 or 26. I mean, there's tons of guys, you know, that are old. I think this is like almost the norm now, you know, for quarterbacks, especially, to make sure they've stayed 5-6 years in college and have that experience before they go out into the NFL. A lot of it, some of it is good, no doubt. They're getting practice, but a lot of the reasons they're doing it is more selfish reasons, right? They're going back, and these schools are paying them a ridiculous amount of money to stay in college, and that's why they're primarily doing it. So, you know, I just think goes back to what I was saying last week. NFL needs to have some sort of developmental league for these players to go to after college, and the NCAA needs to figure out how to put like a hard rule in there to say, listen, if you are a certain age, maybe, you know, once you hit a certain age, you can't play anymore, regardless of how many years you played, you know, in college.
Yeah, and it's going to continue because it can't be just one conference, because, you know, before we started recording about LSU, just going to have an advantage over it. They keep taking players. This is not going to end well, is what I'm saying. The next set of news, the Butte trade for Jalen Reed for the Houston Texans and a draft pick. Now, Butte asked for a trade.
Did he?
Way back I think at either the start of the last season or at the end. Because he thought, well, if you're not going to give me an extension, then trade me. And, you know, I think Patriots did everything they could to keep it hush hush, but the writing was in the wall. As soon as training camp started, they were like, "Why are you still here?" He kept on practicing, but
we mean why are you still here? That's the Patriots.
The writers knew, but the Patriots were mum. They were just like,
gotcha.
There was, Brable was saying the right things every time they asked him. Even Elliot Wolf, the GM, kept saying the right things. I know he's showing up for practice, he's showing up for preseason, but
yeah, we talked last week. The Patriots, they had too many receivers, right? So it was who was going to be the odd man out, like how many receivers are they going to keep? And now I think this kind of answers it a little bit. They had an excess, and and Houston had a need. They had one of their players go down for a while. So Houston, they need some receivers, and it was smart for them to go get this trade done. So, it is what it is. Now for the Patriots themselves, I can't say that I'm surprised, but I think Ute could have, just based on what I saw last year and what I saw so far in the preseason, that he could have made a positive impact on the team. So
no, and him and Drake May had some kind of rapport, together. I just hope that it doesn't bite them at the end. So Ron, we're going into the third game of the preseason. Talk about the Steelers and then talk about overall what do you feel that's happened?
Yeah, last game was horrible. Got shut out.
Got the goose egg.
Goose egg. Offense looked, terrible. Defense looked pretty good. I can't really complain about the defense, but offensively, the offensive line, and we talked about it before, and that was like one of my concerns. I had to go back and lower the grade for the Steelers O-line. I think I had them initially at like a C-. I just dropped them down to a D+ basically because they played so poor. I'm very concerned now about the right side of the line, and I'm hoping to see some improvement this game on Thursday. We got one of the left tackles, the guy we drafted. He's back and practicing, so we'll see. He's our first round pick. We'll see if he's able to play number one on Thursday, and then how he performs. That could make a huge difference. But it was just concerning how the young quarterbacks played and how the offense looked on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm going back to the roster grade. I gave him a C-. I know they underperformed in game 2 for the offensive line, but I just feel like it's preseason. I don't want to rush to judgment. I don't know. They haven't figured it out yet what combination, but that's what the preseason's for, right? You figure out what things are wrong and right, what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, the other thing I did, I dropped the receivers. I had to drop them down to a C. I think I may have had them at a C+ before that, but I dropped them down a grade. They didn't play well at all. Roman Wilson, holy cow. I had him as my breakout candidate. That dude just was not running his route correctly at all. It led to one interception from Howard, maybe even the second one. But and he's had a good camp, right, in practice, but it hasn't translated to what he's done in these games, these preseason games. So all of a sudden now, I was talking about how he's a lock. It's like after that performance, I don't know anymore if he's a lock to make the team, so.
And we'll Rodgers, see. Rodgers is watching.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's like, oh man, I can't trust this guy.
Yes, yeah.
What do you think overall? Well, first of all, let's just quickly talk about the Pages. The only thing that I'm concerned about is they haven't signed Gonzalez yet. Why? What's going on? I know that they're trading words and numbers, and Elliot Wolf came out today and was like, no, we're going to make him the highest paid, but he hasn't signed the contract yet. So what's going on?
JPJ hasn't signed a contract yet, and there's reports that Steelers haven't made an offer as yet either. And, there's reports that they're at an impasse. I don't know what that means exactly. Part of me thinks like, okay, maybe for the Patriots, they're waiting for JPJ to get his contract so they can make sure Gonzalez is the highest paid. But part of me also thinks like the Steelers are probably not going to offer him the highest anyways.
They don't do that. Did they do that for TJ Watt?
They did at the time. Yeah, he became the highest when it was time for his second contract. I depending on who you believe and what from what you hear, the Steelers may want to see him play through this year before they offer him a huge contract. But, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
But he's practicing, right?
No, that's the thing. They have him on the PUP list right now. So he has a quote unquote injury, if you will. But he's been on the PUP list and, I don't think he's plans to be activated or practice in full until he signs a contract.
Well, let's see.
An extension.
Let's see. The other thing, the Browns named Watson a starter.
Holy mess. Did you hear his post-game speech from the week 2 preseason?
I saw the Sanders one. I was actually like in bed and actually heard the whole like 5-minute interview with Sanders. And, yes, the boos are concerning, but none of your quarterbacks have done diddly squat for the team. So like, yes, the fans are gonna boo.
Well, that was, Deshaun Watson, like he was complaining about how the boos were they were personal. Right? They weren't booing for his performance, even though he was atrocious in that game. But he was claiming that they were booing him because, it was personal. And, that was the field that he was on when he got hurt. And the fans were cheering when he got hurt, his own fans. So it was like after that, his press conference, I was like, there's no way he's going to start. They're going to start him. And it wouldn't have shocked me if they like trade him or cut him. But then to come back like the very next day or 2 days later and announce that he's the starter, I don't get it. I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't know what the Browns ownership is doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The owner doesn't even want him. The owner has publicly, said himself like this was a bad trade.
Then why give him like a guaranteed contract?
Well, this is after he already did the trade. He said it was a mistake, basically. There's nothing you can do.
The other set of news, York, the 49ers owner, arrested for prostitution. I'm not really shocked, to be honest with you, because
Why?
I feel like rich people think they can get away with anything. And they just name a price. Whatever it is, sex, whatever it is, corruption, trade, whatever it is. And now it just seems like he paid the fine and he walked away. No prison time, no nothing. I guess he had a clean record and now he just, whatever. So what? And now the team is like, oh, that's a close case. So let's move on. There's no price to pay.
It was cleaned up faster than Kraft.
Yeah, it's at least Kraft, hired a lawyer. This guy, like, everything cared of himself. He's like, I'll just pay the fine and walk away. But, there's some questions like, what is he doing in Ohio? Shouldn't he be in California? Like, it's just a lot of questions, but
regardless of like where you're at, like to be online, look, trying to pay for prostitutes and expect not to be caught.
I wish that the online prostitution was like, oh, I'm a 14-year-old girl.
Why?
Because then there's some kind of prosecution or something. The fact that he paid a fine and walked away.
Yeah.
Like that, less than a slap on the wrist. That's just like, he's probably gonna do it again. Let's go on to our awards, Ron, and let's start with the first award, which is the NFL Comeback of the Year player. Who did you pick, Ron?
Yeah, I tried. I didn't want to go chalk with Patrick Mahomes this year. I wanted to be a little bit different with my pick. So there's some good candidates out there for comeback player. I went with Aaron Donald, and I know he hasn't signed yet, but for God's sakes, the guy has been like practicing and everything, right? Not with the team, but he's been in the building. I can't see him not signing a contract at some point. So if he does return, listen, I think with him and Myles Garrett on the other side, I think he's going to play well, and I think he'll have. I don't think he's going to lead the league in sacks or anything like that, but I think he's going to have a great year. And to be off 2 seasons and then to come back and have a good year, I'm going to give it to Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I went with the favorite, and that's Patrick Mahomes. I know we were talking about Rashid Rice. He came back, but I think that this should be Patrick Mahomes, where he makes a comeback. We'd say he still has it. Even though I don't think he even cracked my top 5 quarterbacks, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to do it this year, even if the only receiver we know right now is Rashid Rice. The other offensive rookie of the year, who'd you go with?
Yeah, so last year it went to Tataroa McMillan. This year, again, I didn't want to go chalk. I think most people will probably pick Mendoza, quarterback for the Raiders. I'm going with Jeremiah Love, running back for the Cardinals. I think he looks fantastic. He looks the part. And, like I said, he's a top 3 running back in the NFL today. So I'm giving him the rookie of the year.
I went with Jadarian Price. I think that, number one, he was pretty good at Notre Dame. Number 2, he has a damn good quarterback with the Seattle Seahawks. So I know that they got JSN there, but they have to pass it when he's not open. They have to pass it to this guy, and I think he has potential to be the offensive rookie of the year. What about the defensive rookie of the year?
Yeah, last year went to Carson Schwarzenegger. The Browns they've had tremendous drafts the last 3 years. And Schwarzenegger just, it was like icing on the cake last year. But I'm going with, for this year, Caleb Downs. I think he's going to have a huge impact for the Cowboys defense. I do think the Cowboys, when we get into our prediction, will have a really good season. So I'm giving it to Downs.
I'm going to go with that David Bailey. The Jets drafted him. I think Aaron Glenn is going to put him to work right away. He's going to be, I think when he plays Miami, when he plays the other teams, I think he's going to stand out. So I'm going to go with that David Bailey on this one. What about the offensive player of the year?
I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs. I think this is going to be a Detroit team that rebounds off of what happened last year. And, I'm going to give it to Gibbs. I believe he led the league last year in rushing yards, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he'll have an outstanding year this year. I'll give him the Player of the Year award.
For the offensive player of the year, I went with Bijan Robinson. They have no good quarterback, so he's the only good player
right
Atlanta has. Plus, when we did the over and unders, their strength of schedule is 28th. So I'm like, this guy doesn't go off on this easy schedule with no quarterbacks. I don't know what's going on in Atlanta. What do you have for defensive player of the year?
Yeah, it was hard not to choose Garrett again after last year with 23 sacks or whatever it was. But I'm going with Will Anderson Jr. For Houston. I think he is an outstanding pass rusher. I think he may not be the sack leader this year, but I think just his contributions on defense and just how good I think Houston can be after a 14-win season last year. I'm giving it to Will Anderson.
I'm going to give it to the reigning champion, Myles Garrett. I think that going to LA, they're going to know how to use him. Even though you don't really teach him and just say, go after the quarterback, and he does it. If in fact Aaron Donald comes back, the offense is gonna have to like figure out who they're gonna double team. Do we double team Donald? Do we double team Garrett? So I think that he's gonna have a lot more tackles, a lot more sacks. So give me Myles Garrett. Who is your coach of the year, Ron?
Yeah, last year Vrabel won that. I'm giving that award to John Harbaugh. I think he's going to turn the Jets around. I think he already started to do that in terms of like the culture and,
Well, he just lost a good receiver.
Calvin, yeah, I get it. And Jackson Dart, there's questions about him, but listen, they went and picked up Najee Harris. Apparently today they announced that, or it was reported that he was getting first team reps. So I think he knows what he wants. He wants like a tough, hard-nosed team, which is perfect for New York. It's, and maybe they don't make the playoffs this year, but I think you'll see a huge improvement from last year.
I'm going to go with Jesse Minster. I think, number one, the Ravens are favored to win that division. And he has basically an MVP candidate for his quarterback. So all he has to do is drive the bus and not go off rails, right? I know the defense was terrible, but he should make it a lot better than when Jordan Harbaugh was there. So I went with Jesse Minster. Ron, who is your NFL MVP?
Yeah, I can easily see Stafford winning again. But again, I talked about Cowboys and how great of a season I think they're going to have. I think Dak Prescott was second in passing yards last year, second or third. I am going with Dak Prescott to win the MVP. That tells you how confident I feel about the Cowboys and their record this year, especially with all the additions that they've made on defense.
I'm going to go with the runner-up last year, Drake May, because he has weapons galore this year, which he didn't have. He should have a slightly better offensive line with the two signings that they got for last year. And supposedly Will Campbell is improved. I don't know how much, but I'm going to go with Drake May. I think that because the division is weak other than Buffalo, I think he should put up some numbers. So let's move on to our stat prediction. Ron, who do you think is going to be the passing leader for 2026?
Yeah, I teased it already, but I'm going to take Prescott. It's going to be hard. I think Stafford is going to go crazy again. But, to have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and all the options they have, I think Dak's going to have a huge year. So give me Dak Prescott.
I was going to go with Dak Prescott, but I know Lamb and Pickens, they're like basically two head case. And I just can't, I want to see them like actually play all 17 games before I like commit to that. I know that I have George Pickens on the line for my other pick, but I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford, but then you can say Puka is a head case. So I don't know about these receivers. I just like Matthew Stafford to have the passing lead. What about passing touchdowns, Ron?
Yeah, I'm going to give that to Stafford. I think it can go a number of ways, but I think it's going to be Stafford again this year.
I'm going to go with Joe Burrows, and that's a big if. And we just saw Chase got injured today. Yeah. So, and he still have T. Higgins, and he still has decent tight ends. But if this a fraction of Joe Burrow, I think they're gonna put up some points. So I went with Joe Burrows. Ron, what about the rushing leader for this year?
Yeah, I'll go with Cook again. He won that last year, 1,621 rushing yards last season. I think he'll be the leader again this year. I don't see why, especially after all the attempts that they were giving him, which was a change to how they played. I think they'll do the same again this year, and I can see Cook winning or leading the NFL in rushing yards.
Yeah, Joe Brady, he does a good job with the running game. I'm gonna go with Jonathan Taylor on this one. I think that Daniel Jones helps him out if he doesn't get injured again. I know he was neck and neck for the touchdowns last year, but I'm gonna go with the rushing yards with Taylor. What about TDs? Who you gonna go with?
Yeah, Taylor had the lead last year with 18, but right behind him was Derrick Henry. I think, you were talking earlier about the Ravens and their expectations. I think Henry is going to be up there again. So I'll give him the rushing leader for this year.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he can break one here and there. Not sure yardage. I think you're right. That's going to go to Derrick Henry, but give me Gibbs to lead the TD. And that's without, what's the coach's name for the Lions? Without him running the offense.
Oh, the Bears coach?
The Lions coach, right? What's, I can't remember his name now, but no, he's not going to be in the offense. So the offense is going. What about for the passing, the reception leader? Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Chase. Talked about his injury today. It doesn't appear to be serious. I assume he's not missing any time. Puka Nacua led receptions last year. He had 129, but I think Chase is going to lead this year.
I'm going to go with JSN. I think that this year, I know he was the receiving last year, right?
Receiving yards.
Yeah, receiving yards. But I think he's going to get the receiving total. So give me
receptions.
The reception. Yep. What about yards?
Yeah, just mentioned JSN led the league last year. I'm going to give it to Nacua this year. I know he's a head case. Wouldn't shock me if he's suspended or something crazy happens, but I'll give it to Nacua.
I'm going to go with another head case, George Pickens. I think that, again, if he's interested in this game for 4 quarters, he's going to get it. If he, after 2 quarters, after 3 quarters, just gives out or takes some plays off, he's not going to get it. So I know what did the Cowboys do? They put a
franchise tag,
but they didn't give him an extension.
Not yet, no.
So yeah, he's playing for an extension. So maybe he'll perform. Who do you have for receiving leaders at TDs?
Yeah, I was surprised when I look back that Devontae had 14 touchdowns last year. I'm giving this one to Lamb. It could go to Lamb or Pickens. It can go to Nacua, any guy, but I'm going to Lamb. I think he's going to have an explosive year this year.
I'm going to go with Rashid Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs. I know he just got out of jail, so maybe he needs to prove something. Maybe him and Patrick Mahomes need to prove something. Hey, I'm coming off an injury. You coming off jail. Let's do this. So I'm going with Rashid Rice. What about the sack leader?
Yeah, I'm going with Garrett again. I think, like I said earlier, I don't think Will Anderson Jr. will beat him in sacks, but, Garrett is probably the best defensive player in the NFL. And, to your point, if Donald does come back, he's going to have like a bunch of one-on-ones, and I can see him having another 20-plus sack season.
I went with Aiden Hutchinson here. I know he got injured last year, but I think he's going to play a full season. And he's going to be up there with sacks. Who do you have for the last winless team?
Last winless team, I'm giving that to the Arizona Cardinals, and we'll go through the strength of schedules here and predictions. But the Cardinals are not a good team, and I pulled up their schedule earlier to look at what their opponents were to start the season. Listen to this. Week 1, Chargers. Then they go to Seattle, San Francisco. They got the Giants. That's probably a winnable game. But then the Detroit, the Chargers again, Denver, Dallas, Seattle, the Rams, Kansas City. I mean, they could lose all those games that I just mentioned. And we're getting to like week 12.
They have a new coach, right? They have a new coach. They still don't know who the quarterback is.
It's Brissett.
It's a Brissett. And I think their running back that they drafted just got injured, right?
No, he's playing.
He's playing. This is they're gonna. Things are not gonna be good for Arizona. They're not gonna be very good. For the last winless team, I went with Miami because, except for the Raiders, which is the first game they have the Niners, they have the Chiefs, they have the Vikings, they have the Bengals.
It's that first game that I saw. I was like, man, they can actually win that game.
I mean, I don't know if Frank Wright has it in him. I don't know who's the Raiders coach. Got Kubiak. Yeah, they got from Seattle. He went to. I don't know. I think that Kubiak will, if Janty is okay, which it seems like they're mum about it, but I think Miami's gonna be the winless team. Who do you have as the last undefeated team, Ron?
Yeah, so last year, Bills and did the Jets? No, couldn't have been the Jets. Bills and someone else. I wrote the Jets, but it was Bills and another team went 4-0 to start the season. I'm giving it to the Lions. I think they have, just looking at their schedule, they got the Saints, winnable game. Buffalo, that's going to be tough. But then they got the Jets, Carolina, and Arizona after that for their. So if they can get past Buffalo, they can be looking at a 5-0 start.
I'm actually gonna go here with the Texans. I think that they can actually, they have a very easy schedule, the 26th. I'm just gonna take a quick pick here at who are they playing to start off the season. So they have the Bills, which is a hard game. But then they have the Bengals, the Colts, the Cowboys. I mean, they're not easy games, but I can see them winning them all. Maybe the Bills and Cowboys gives them, depends CJ Stroud, but I can see them winning the game. So let me go with the Texans here.
It was the Bills and Eagles, by the way. They got off to 4-0 starts last year.
Yeah. Would you have the Lions or you had the Jets?
Yeah, I'm taking I had the Jets in there for some reason, but it was the Bills and Eagles, and I'm picking this year for the Lions to be the last undefeated team.
Okay, so let's move on to our over and unders, and let's start with the NFC East. Let's start with the Cowboys. They have the 20th strength of schedule. The over and under is 8.5. Ron, what's your pick?
Yeah, listen, 7-9-1 last year. I think their team's better than they were last year, so I can easily see them going over 8.5. You talked about their strength of schedule. It's not that bad. So I'm going over.
I'm going over too. I think that 7-9-1 record was deceiving. There was a lot of games that they could have won. They just had the defense needed to be better, and I think that they did that. The Eagles have the 23rd strength of schedule. Over and under is 10.5. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, you lose your receiver. You got a tougher schedule this year.
One of the linemen retired, right? One of the offensive linemen retired.
Yep. You won 11 games last year, but 10.5 seems high to me. I mean, they can win 11, but I'm going to go under. Say they win 10 games. Yeah,
I went under. Even though AJ Brown wasn't like a part of their offensive scheme, but I just don't. Not with that, first of all, they lost one of the Travis Kelce brothers, right? Then they lost another to retirement. I just don't know if this line is going to be that good. I went under. Giants have the 17th strength of schedule. They over and under 7.5. Ron, what'd you?
Yeah, 4 wins last year. Can they double that and get to 8? I think they can. I have Harbor winning Coach of the Year, so I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I'm taking the over. I think they should win more than 4 games.
The 7.5, though, can they win 8 or more?
8 only because I feel the Eagles and Commanders are going to be weaker this year. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the over. Commanders, 16th strength of schedule. Over under 7.5. Ron, what'd you give them?
I think this one's going to be close, but I'm going under here. 5 wins last year. I think they're closer to that team than they were the year before. I think they'll be, right around 7. So I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go under as well. No Kingsbury. He went to the Chargers or the Rams. I think the Rams he went to. He's a special assistant of the offense. I don't know. Sometimes they give him titles as like made up titles. But I just don't think this team is going to be as good as last year. And last year was a pretty bad team. Jaden Daniels was hurt, right? So let's move on to the NFC North. Let's start with the Lions. 27th strength of schedule. They're over and under 10.5. Ron, what'd you?
Yeah, easy schedule. And they played terrible last year, still won 9 games. So I'm going over to 10.5. I think they'll get to 11 wins, if not more, based on their schedule.
I went under. I think 10.5 might be a little bit too much. I see them right at 10, no more than 11. I know they improved. Supposedly they got offensive coordinator, a real one now, and all that jazz. I just think that the Packers and the Bears got better. So I went under on them. Packers, 3rd strength of schedule, so it's a pretty hard schedule. 10.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give?
Yeah, I'm going under. I don't have faith in Love. They won 9 games last year, so they were barely had the over last year. I don't, and then Parsons, I don't know when he's coming back, so I'm gonna go under 10.5.
I'm gonna go over here because I really like the Packers. Love is actually a pretty good regular season starter, not so much in the playoffs. Parsons, we don't know when he's come back, but they have a good running back. So
yeah, but no Dobbs this year too on top of it.
No Dobbs, but Packers are kind of like the Steelers. They're just a wide receiver factory. So, next man up, I'm gonna go over with them. Vikings, 11th strength of schedule. Is that right? 6.5?
8.5.
8.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give him?
Yeah, 9 wins last year. I'm going under. Listen, I think Kyler Murray will be better, but I'm still going to go under.
I'm going to go under as well. I know the defense is basically unchanged. Flores is still there, but you need a quarterback. I don't know what Kevin McConnell is what kind of magic he still has left in the tank. I just don't think they win, 9 games. I think they take a step back, maybe win 7. The Bears, the toughest schedule in all of NFL, number 1. 9.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
You said it, the toughest schedule. I don't know how much would change next year with their offense. I think a lot of things went their way for last year's games, especially like a lot of those comebacks. That's not going to happen this year. I'm going under for them. I think they'll take a slight step back. I don't think it means it's the end of the world for the Bears. They won't have a good future, but I'm going to go under and give them less than 10.
Yeah, I'm going to change mine from over to under. Number one toughest schedule. They lost one of the receivers to the Bills because of that one play. Just talk to the dude. Just be like, hey, you cost us this game. And then you move on. You don't just magically trade him. But I think they're going to go under. I really like the Packers in this division. So I'm going to go under with them. Moving on to the NFC South. The Buccaneers. The local team. 21 strength of schedule. 8.5 is the over and under. Ron?
They finished with 8 wins last year. But their schedule is a little bit easier, a lot of it easier probably than it was last year. They know Mike Evans, but they got some decent receivers. They got 2 good running backs. I'm going to go over. I don't have a lot of confidence. It might be right at 9 wins, but I'm going to go over with Tampa Bay.
I'm gonna go under because there's a lot of unknowns, right? Is Mayfield gonna get the extension or he's gonna just play out the season? Like you said, no Mike Evans. Will this be the last chance? I feel like their defense is getting old. I'm not very I'm not very confident in this team. So I think the under. I don't think they win 9 games. Saints 31st strength of schedule, pretty easy. 7.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give them?
Going over, they won 6 games last year with Tyler Shuck playing as a rookie. You got a good rookie receiver. I know he's hurt, but he'll be back. You added some other weapons. I think he takes a huge step up, and I'm going over. Don't be surprised if next week when we do our predictions for play, I think it's next week we're doing it, that I have them potentially winning the NFC South.
Falcons, I went over too. I think that Kellen Moore, Tyler Shuck, and eventually the defense gets better. I went over. Falcons, 28th strength of schedule. I think they all have pretty easy schedule because that division is so bad. 7.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give them?
I'm going under. Quarterback situation. They lost both their outside linebackers, their pass rushers. I think they're going to have a really bad season with Tua at their quarterback. I think they'll be bouncing back and forth, Tua and Penix. I'm going under, and I think it'll be way under.
I went under with the Falcons too. No quarterback. I know Kevin Stefanski might give him a bump, but what kind of bump is? I don't know why the Browns kept him for so long. He didn't. I don't think he won a division. I don't think he even went to the playoffs, right?
I think he got a coach of the year.
Yeah, but he didn't. Did he win a division? No. So, I went under. Panthers, 10th. Oh, actually, 10th strength of schedule. 7.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give them?
I'm going over. I think they will get to 8 wins. I think they got to 8 last year. I think they can do that again this year, and they may even get to 9 wins. Will it be enough to win the division? Don't know, but I'm going over.
Yeah, this is my dark horse to win the division is the Panthers. I went over. I think that this division, just like last year, if you have 8 wins, you're already in it. You're at the top of the. If you get to 9 wins, that's yours. It's your division. So, yeah, give me the Panthers to go over that 7.5. NFC West, which I think next to the NFC North is one of the toughest division. 49ers, 18th strength of schedule. 10.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give?
I think they'll get to 11. They won 12 last year. I think their team has improved a little bit. Mike Evans will help. I'm going over.
I'm going over as well. I think Purdy is actually going to be healthy this year. And if it's not Purdy, it could be, what's the other dude?
Mac Jones.
Return of the Mac. I'm going over. The Rams, 13th strength of schedule, 11.5. What's your prediction?
11.5 is high. So can they get to 12 wins, basically, which is what they did last year? 12-5. I went under this year. I think I do think they deserve to be the Super Bowl favorites, but you still got to face the 49ers. You got to face the Seahawks. You got to face some other teams. I'm going to go under, not by a lot. I think they'll get to 11 wins, but I'm going under.
I think every game is going to be cinema, whether it's 49ers versus Rams or Rams versus Seahawks or Seahawks versus 49ers. Every game should be televised on Fox. I'm going to go over with the Rams. I know this is everyone's Super Bowl pick, everyone's favorite offense, all of that stuff. And, if Puka actually controls himself, I think they can get to over 12 wins. So I'm going to go over. Super Bowl champions Seattle Seahawks, 14th in the strength of schedule. 10.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's just 10.5. And Rams got 11.5. I'm going over. Seattle won 14 games last year. It's not like they barely made the playoffs or anything. So I'm taking the over. I think they'll comfortably win 11 games this year.
Yeah, I'm taking the over as well. I know they lost their running back, but I think Sam Darnold is going to be better. JSN is going to be better. As I mentioned before, they have a rookie for Notre Dame that should be better too. I'm going to go over, and I think the defense is going to be. And they have a 14th strength of schedule, which is the middle of the pack. So, yeah, I'm going over. Cardinals, 4th strength of schedule. 4.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's the prediction?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's the 4th schedule. 4th hardest. I had them going 11 and 0 and 11, right? When we went through the schedule to start the season. It's hard to do this, but I'm going under 4.5. They'll be lucky if they get to 4 wins. They won 3 last year. I don't see 4 wins on that, schedule. So I'm going under.
I'm going under too. This is the toughest division, probably maybe in the NFL, to be honest. They have 3 playoff teams in their division. And as you mentioned, they have a gauntlet of teams. So yeah, I'm going under. They can't do it. Let's move on to the AFC conference. And let's start with the AFC East. Buffalo Bills have the 8th strength of schedule. 10.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
I'm going over. I know they got a tough schedule this year, but they got most of their pieces back. They added a receiver from Chicago, like you said, and they won 12 games. So I think they can get to 11. I'm going over.
I'm going over as well. They've done 11 wins like the past 4 years.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if the schedule is easy, hard. As long as Josh Allen's on the team, they're going to do it. So I'm going over. Next team, Miami Dolphins. Strength of schedule is 2.
Yeah.
4.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give them?
Listen, they won 7 games last year. It's not like they traded every single player they had. Yeah, they're not a good team, but they can get to 5 wins if they won 7 last year with, I forgot Malik Willis is their quarterback. So I'm going over. It might just be right at 5 or they could get to 6, but I'm going over.
I'm going under. Still can't name a receiver on that team.
It's true.
I know that Frank Wright, it's going to, I'm not even sure he's a Dolphins head coach. It could be somebody else. I think it's that guy from the Packers. Anyways, Malik Willis, I feel bad for you, but
Jeff Hafley,
yeah. I just don't think this is a good team, and I don't think the ownership knows that they're not going to win a lot of games. 4.5 to me seems too much. I win them. Speaking of winless teams, the Jets, they have the 12th hardest schedule. 5.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
I'm going under. I don't think they can get to 6 wins. They were 3-14 last year. They got some. I like their first. I think they had 2 first-round picks. Glenn won't make it the full season. I think he gets fired by like week 8 or 9. So I'm going up.
I'm going under as well. I don't know if he even Woody Johnson. That whole ownership. It's just garbage. It's just plain garbage. I don't know. It's a race for last place between Miami. So I'm going to go under. Talk about my team, New England Patriots. 6th hardest schedule. 9.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I gave them 8 wins, so that's obviously under. 9.5, I think, is a little bit high to me, to be honest with you, with the over-unders in their schedule, the strength of schedule. They won 14 last year. Now, will they drop all the way to just 9 wins or 8 wins? I had to go back and look, Sarek, to see if that's even possible, and if any team has done that. It actually happened just last year from the Lions. I think they had won 14 the year before. Right. And then, last year they only won 9. So I think it can happen. Detroit had a bunch of injuries, but I think the strength of schedule with the Patriots, I think it's going to be really, hard to get to 10 wins. So I'm going under.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think that 10 wins I predicted. I predict May's going to have a good season. Yes, the depth on the team is an issue, but they just traded for a safety. He's not going to be a starter, but again, it's just adding depth. So I'm going to go over the 9.5. AFC North, Ravens, 24th strength of schedule, 11.5 wins. What's your prediction?
Yeah, and just to run through the AFC North. So just based on these over-unders, they have the Ravens first, the Bengals second, the Steelers third. And I don't know how many years in a row the Steelers have to win the division to get some respect, but listen, I got the Ravens going under. They won 8 games last year, and a brand new coach this year who's never coached football as a head coach. I can't see them getting to 12 wins. I'm taking the under. And I might go way under. I might log in tonight after this on like FanDuel or something and hit that under like really hard.
Yeah, send me a screenshot. I want to see that. I want to see you take the under on the Ravens. I'm going to take the under. I think they win maybe 11 games. 12 is a little rich for me. They have a pretty easy schedule, kind of like the Browns and the Bengals.
Well, you laughed at me when I said they would miss the playoffs last year, and they missed the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and what happened? John Harbaugh got fired.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. But I'll take the under with the Ravens. The Browns, easiest schedule in all of football, 32nd. 5.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
Listen, quarterback situation is a hot mess. But what I just say about the Browns, I think they've had like the best draft in the last like 3 years. They got tons of talent, including the defensive rookie of the year. I'm going over here. I think they can easily get to 6 wins. They won 5 last year. I think they can have a pretty competitive season. Not necessarily win a division or anything like that or make the playoffs, but I'm going to go over, even with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. I think that the Myles Garrett trade was actually in their favor. They got a young player, a couple of draft picks. They used him wisely. So really, the quarterback just has to be competent. That's all they need, to be competent. They have Judkins. They got a good running back.
Right.
They just have to be competent. So I went over. Pittsburgh Steelers, 19th strength of schedule. 8.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
I'm going over here. The schedule is not that difficult. I think, towards the back end, it gets a little bit hard, but if they get off to a decent start, they can get to 9 wins. I predicted that they'll get to 11. I think I changed it to, so I'm going over.
Yeah, I think they can get to 9 victories. I went over as well. Schedule is favorable. Like you said, if they 6-2, 5-3 record by the bye, I think it's achievable. So I went over. Bengals, 30th strength of schedule. 9.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
Easy schedule. You would think that means, they can make a run for it. But listen, 6 wins last year. I don't think they can protect Burrow. I don't think they've done enough on their defense. I'm going under. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think the Vegas always overrates the Bengals, and I think they're going to have less than 10.
I went under only because I think that this is going to be a 2-team race between the Ravens and the Steelers. I don't. Joe Burrow's we just don't know if he's going to be healthy, right? And saw that first game in the preseason, he was sacked hard. I'm like, oh man, this is more of the same. So I went under. AFC South, Texans, 25th strength of schedule. 9.5 is the over and under. Ron, what's you give them?
I'm surprised it's just 9.5. I mean, they won 12 games last year, and they got an easy schedule again this year. I know Stroud didn't play well at the end, and I know they got some injuries at receiver position, but I'm going over. I think they'll easily get to 10 wins. another one that I might, jump in and put some money on.
Yeah, I went over with the Texans. Easy schedule. Yes, they have some minor issues at running back and at receivers, but that defense is so stout.
Right.
It's so stout. I don't think they need to do much. The Jaguars, 22 strength of schedule, 8.5 wins. Ron, what'd you give them?
Listen, I do think they take a step back this year, but they won 13 games last year. They're not going to get to 13, but I am still going over. I think they can get to 9 wins or more, so I'm going over.
Yeah, I think I'm going over with them as well. I think that we don't know what we're going to get out of the Colts, and we know the Titans are pretty bad. So this is going to be between the Texans and the Jaguars. So I went over. 13 wins is a lot. They're probably going to be like around 10, my guess. Speaking of which, Colts, 29th strength of schedule, 7.5 victories. Is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, I think they can go over. It all depend on like the health of their quarterback for sure. But I have them getting to 8 wins. They got there last year. 8 and 9 is where they finished. So I think they can get to 8 wins again.
Yeah, same here. Daniel Jones should be, if not good, better. But he is coming off an injury, so who knows? I'm gonna go over. I think 8 wins is about where they are. I think it could be even. It could be even, but 8.5 wins. 8 wins is what I give them. Titans, 25th strength of schedule, 6.5 over and under. Ron, what'd you give them?
I'm going under here. I think they have been the worst looking team this preseason. I know it's preseason. Not a huge Cam Ward fan, never have been. I'm going under. I think, 6.5 to get to 7 wins. I just don't see it with them only winning 3 games last year. I'm going under.
Yeah, this was going to be my pick for last winless team. I went with Miami, but after that preseason game where it looked like the secondary did not want to tackle anybody, I was pretty shocked that it was Robert Saleh defense.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And Cam Ward, it's only a matter of time before he doesn't get the starting bid. AFC West, Chiefs, 5 strength of schedule, 10.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give him?
Strength of schedule is really tough. Mahomes coming off an injury. I know he'll be playing. I don't know how healthy he is the start of the season. I'm going to go under. It's hard to root against the Chiefs or to say they won't succeed, but I think this division is, it's going to be tough, and I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go under as well. Not that they should win more than 6 games if Patrick Mahomes is, more decent quarterback at least. But they're not going to win the division. 10.5 is really, really high. So I'm going to go under. Raiders, 7th strength of schedule, 5.5 wins. Ron, what'd you give them?
I think their team has improved. Just at the quarterback position alone. I don't care if it's Cousins or Mendoza. They're better than what they had out there last year. No, there's still issues with the offensive line, but they got 2 good running backs. They got the best tight end in the league. They're going to get to 6 wins. So I'm going over.
I went under. I've seen 2 preseason games. I know it's preseason, but I'm not, I'm not like, wow, this team is unstoppable. I just don't get that vibe yet. Maybe it's because of the preseason. I'm going to go under. I think Mendoza still has a lot to learn.
Oh yeah, he does. But
especially the speed of the game. I don't know if he knows how fast his DBs and linebackers are. It's not college anymore. So I went under. Broncos, 15th strength of schedule, 9.5 over and under. Ron, what'd you give?
I'm going over. They won 14 games last year. Surprised it's only at 9.5. I guess that, that probably is because they think the Chiefs are going to have a good year again. But I'm going over. I think Denver is capable of winning the division. They have a very good defense. They've added some pieces on the offense. I'm going over.
Yeah, I'm also going over with the Broncos. I think Knicks is the key, right? If he's not, well, last year he wasn't, because there were some games last year that
he wasn't
great,
Yeah.
but he won them
Yeah.
at the end. Like I want Knicks to play a complete game, but
Yeah.
last year I felt like he didn't need to
Right.
because the defense was so good. I think this year he actually like plays 4 quarters.
Right.
So I'm gonna go over. Chargers 9 is the strength of schedule. 9.5 is the over and under. Ron, what'd you give him?
Yeah, I had the Chargers winning the division last year. I think I'll probably do that again this year. 9.5. I'm going over. They won 11. They got, they added a few pieces. They got, their running back healthy. So I think they'll get to 10 wins. And the Dolphins coach too is the offensive coordinator. What's his name?
McDonald?
Is that his name?
McDaniel.
McDaniel, yeah. So I think that relationship with Herbert, I think it's actually going to click. I think you'll see them throwing the ball downfield a lot, playing fast. I think the offense will look really good. I'm going
over as well because the offense should be better. I'm not sure the defense is going to be good because they lost Minster to the Ravens. He was the defensive coordinator. 11 wins is about right. I like the Broncos more over the Chargers, but I think that they'll win more than 10 games for sure. So that's it for over and unders. But next week, it's going to be episode 157. We're actually going to have our divisions, wild card, playoffs, and Super Bowl picks. So, yeah, and then after that, let me see. Then after that, we're on to week number 1. So finally,
it's here.
it's here. Regular season football is here. So, do you have anything to say to the fans out there?
Listen, I hope for a good season from the Steelers. I'm ready for the season just to get here. I'm excited for Thursday, see what the team looks like. I forgot who we're playing on Thursday, but listen, I think they'll have a good season. And we'll see if they can win a playoff game this year.
What is it, 9 years now?
9 going on 10.
Wow. I think that this year is going to be it. I think. I'm not sure. So next week we'll have episode 157 with divisions, playoffs, and our Super Bowl picks. So until I see you again, I'll say peace.
Peace. All right, that's it, guys. That's the end of the show. Thanks so much for all your support and listening today. If you got any questions, comments, feedback, feel free to email us at simsportsmedia@gmail.com. That's SYMSPORTSMEDIA@gmail.com. Peace.